What's going on, everyone? I hope everybody's having a great weekend. Hope everybody's doing awesome. You're listening and watching to another episode of the Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. It's been an interesting weekend. Again, the summer season is definitely kicking off. Like I know last month kind of did, but the weather's been weird. But honestly, the summer movies are going to start rolling in, and the kickoff June. Well, technically, kickoff. Last week was a kickoff. The other movie I've been kind of worried about, looking forward to, is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, the latest in the Transformers franchise to grace our presence. And as always, guys, this is a non-spoiler review, so do not forget to ring the bell, give us a like, subscribe, and of course subscribe. We do appreciate everyone and want to keep growing the community, and we love you. That's all. Just don't forget that stuff. Um, yeah, but let me get started. I am all over the place. I apologize. So this is within the Bumblebee verse essentially, because the Michael Bay ones technically aren't counted in this one, or because Bumblebee. I know it's very confusing to a lot of people. Like Bumblebee is technically supposed to be the soft reboot for the Transformers franchise. Like yes, they kept Bumblebee's like talking through the radio, his same like little design from the Michael Bay movies, and similar situation in the last one. This time though, I think they definitely moved things along, because I know the other Transformers movies, they were like all over the place and really trying to like get that stuff going. They kind of lagged on certain storylines, like introducing new characters and stuff, in my
Yeah,
opinion,
and and even the canon on those Michael Bay movies were just all over the place. Like they show up for the first time in the first movie, but then they've been here since like the Middle Ages. It's like, what's going on, guys?
It was just digging itself a 12-foot plot grave, really plot hole grave. This one
Many.
is trying to, yeah. This one, at least this time around, they're trying to keep things in continuity. Like they're trying to keep it, consistent, which I do respect, and it's kind of about time. So this one takes place in the 90s, like early 90s, mid 90s, and it's got I think it's actually one of the strongest casts that the Transformers movies have had. I have
Hmm.
Anthony Ramos, who I first saw him in A Star Is Born, and then he's been in stuff like In the Heights. He plays Noah Diaz, who basically stumbles upon the Autobots and their search for this artifact, like the other Transformers. Basically, it's the same Transformers movies. The Autobots are trying to find this
Yeah,
artifact to help them in the war against the oh my god, the Decepticons and evil essentially.
yeah.
But this
It's
time,
it's
well,
always
no,
the
go ahead.
same. We're looking for the thing to do the thing before the Decepticons do the thing. It's the same generic, basic idea of if you've seen, one Transformers movie, you kind of get the gist of like what the plot is of this one.
Yeah, which is kind of the sad part. It's always they really haven't changed much with the plot. It's essentially all the same shit, if you really think about it. So, I don't know what to do. Maybe that's a Transformers verse in general. I don't know. I still think that the franchise should just completely rebooted and focused more on the Autobots and the Decepticons, like the machines themselves. Stop introducing human characters, even though they've gotten it right in some of these movies. But overall, it's like nobody comes to see the people; they come to see the robots and the action with that. So, um,
Hmm.
but anyways, long story short, so not only did they stumble upon that, but we're also introduced to, I would say, I don't know about fan favorites, but also almost like a cult status characters, which are the Maximals from the Beast Wars series when we were kids, and it's got, like I said, it's got a solid cast. So not only do we have Anthony Ramos, for the Autobots we have Peter Cullen returning as Optimus Prime. And we actually, pleasant surprise, we had Pete Davidson as Mirage, basically
Hmm.
the main Autobot for this story, especially for Noah's character. And, he was great. We also had Liza Koshy as RC, which looked amazing, voiced very well. The design on all these characters, Autobots, the Terracons, Maximals, like top notch for the most part. So I really like that aspect of this one. Um, and then let me see, who else do we have for the Autobots? We
Ron
also had,
Perlman, right?
well, that was for the Maximals. For the
For the
Autobots, I
Maximals, right?
guess, yeah. For the just to finish off the Autobots, all we had, the other one was Cristo Fernandez from Ted Lasso. If you guys have seen that
Oh
show,
yeah.
yeah, he was Danny Rojas, so he's a wheeljack in this one, which was great. And then for the Maximals, we had Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal, which was awesome. Michelle Yeoh as Air Razor, and let me see who else do we have. Hold on one second. Um, we also had David Zabalov as Rhinox, who isn't in it too much. And for Cheetor, I was trying to find that person, but I can't quite
Mhm.
see it. Unfortunately, I couldn't find that person, but yeah, other than that, so it's not only was a solid cast. Anthony Ramos, I think, did really well, along with the other human character, Lena, played by Dominica Fishback. They weren't bad. A very solid story for them. But overall, I would definitely say it was a solid movie, to be honest. Better than what I was worried about, just because there were a lot of rumors regarding like rewrites off the yin yang in recent months too, like leading up to this, which is not necessarily a good sign for a movie to
Mhm.
have to do all that basically near the end of it, and like basically post production. So that was very just a very alarming. But I had a lot. I actually had a decent amount of fun with it. I thought again, not only were the robots designed well, but I think this had some of the best action of all the Transformers movies. Definitely kept me awake, kept me entertained, and a better dialogue. Nothing super cheesy here and there.
Or
I really
offensive.
or offensive. Yeah, Michael Bay's movies were just, I mean, call it what you will, but there were definitely some things I'm like, man, they are playing hard on stereotypes. But
Hmm.
Byrne, what did you think about Rise of the Beast?
Well, I mean, coming into a Transformers movie, like the expectations for me at least are, in the gutter, basically. Not coming in expecting a whole lot, which is why I really enjoyed Bumblebee. When that movie came out a few years ago, that was a really nice, change of pace. The first movie that we got in the Transformers franchise without Michael Bay, and I think it showed. There was like a rejuvenated spirit in that movie, and to top it off, we got the G1, versions of the characters, which was a nice change of pace from like the metal hodgepodge that was the Transformers design in the Transformers movies, which were cool when they were initially shown to us, but after a while it just became a big jumbled mess. So getting that sort of stripped down design and getting back to basics with the human story of Haley Steinfeld's character, I really enjoyed that one. So coming into this one, I was a little bit more looking forward to it than I have looked forward to a Transformers movie in the past. And like you, I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. Everything you mentioned, I 100%. I also agree with the action in this one. I think is some of the best in the franchise. I think Stephen Cable Jr., the director of this one, really has a good handle on the big CGI spectacle, which is surprising because his work in the past, wasn't anything like this big. I think the biggest thing he directed was Creed 2, which was a lot of fun. So, him bringing his sensibilities into this one, I think he captured all the action well. I'm able to see everything, pretty clearly. And the action beats themselves are very entertaining where you have that fun, push and pull where the good guys are winning and the bad guys are winning. And now the conflict is just building and building. So I think he did a really good job with that. And I think he did a good job with the human characters. That this time around they don't feel like overly annoying. They don't feel just kind of like there for no reason. Like they do have their service in the plot. And even though sometimes it feels like the plot really, really like sort of like finds like ways to like we have to like put him in there. The fact that Anthony Ramos and the other lead in this one, I forget her name, but you mentioned her earlier. The fact that they're interesting characters in their own right was a nice change of pace because a lot of the human characters in the last few movies, haven't been all that engaging, and in here I think they were.
No, yeah, absolutely. Again, I mean, if you're gonna do human characters, do it like they did with Bumblebee in this one, where they're actually, very relatable characters, characters you want them to do well. So
Hmm.
I really like that aspect. But having said all the positives, again, being a Transformers movie, it's one of those things. I feel like because of the Maximals and stuff, it tried to include too much, but not really including enough. If that makes
Hmm.
sense. Like they tried to expand the world so quickly, yet it still feels like man, there was still stuff missing from it. Like I wanted more. And again, I'm trying not to spoil it. I will say another positive was actually the post credit scene. Not actually more like mid slash beginning credit scene, I would say.
Yeah, it's not like too deep
Yeah.
into the credits.
No, it's actually like pretty much right out the gate, so you don't have to sit too long if you go see this movie in theaters.
Mhm.
That was actually something I was quite pleasantly surprised, and again, I'm not going to spoil it because I would say you should see it.
Yeah,
Whether it be for Dolby or IMAX, totally up to you, or just wait for like $5 Tuesday or $3 depending on when AMC like whatever if they do discount that because AMC is starting to do that the $3 $5 movie
yeah, like the
options. So
summer discount stuff, right?
exactly. So having said all that, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, just because yeah, it does have some faults. It's nowhere near perfect, but the robots look amazing. The action was great. The plot overall was very solid. It was just an entertaining film. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, like overall, like you mentioned, this movie is really entertaining at the end of the day. Yeah, in terms of the negatives, yeah, the plot conveniences that come in at the end of the movie are a little bit obvious to keep the main characters around, and also not really having too much of the Maximals in a movie called Rise of the Beast is a little bit of a disappointment. Like they're used more than the Dinobots in Age of Extinction, but again, not as much as you would want for a movie with this title, I'll say. So for people coming in, just know that you're getting a little bit more of the Autobots instead of the Maximals here. But yeah, the voice work was really cool. The human characters were really fun, and overall, this was a really entertaining movie. And in terms of like a summer blockbuster, this is well worth the theater watch just because of like, the really cool visual effects that are on display. And who doesn't like seeing giant robots beat each other up? In this one, like we said, the action here is really entertaining. So yeah, for me, this one is going to be a 3 out of 5. It's a good time at the movies. And one I think if you have time, go check it out.
I definitely respect that. Yeah, that's kind of one of the things. Like I didn't know if that was gonna be count two spoiler or not, but I definitely felt like there could have been way more maximal stuff.
Mhm.
But that's just kind of that was kind of my point of like they introduce a lot. Like the Maximals have never been in any of the movies, nor have they been hinted at. So this time it was like, oh shit. But in the end, it just it wasn't enough. So,
Mhm.
um, for those of you who did happen to see this movie this last weekend, what did you think of it? Did you like it like we did? Were you in by it? Did you stay for the beginning credits scene? We would love to know. Love to keep the conversation going, but stay tuned for more reviews, especially next week. The Flash is finally coming out to theaters. Let's
Mhm.
see if Ezra Miller didn't tank it slash did they actually do it right? It's the Flashpoint story essentially. So I'm
Yeah,
excited for that. That's the biggest thing I'm like hoping for. So stay tuned for those, and as always, everyone, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for the both of us.
absolutely. Everybody, be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.